I just realized how small your view counts were, and it makes no sense. Premium Drag Race content. Well, you know what you can do about that, Samuel? You can share my videos! That's what you can do. And that goes to you, too. Come on, share my video right now. I'll wait for you. You done? Okay, great. Hello, everyone. My name is Anetra, but you may call me Robbie for short. And today, I'm wearing a nice shirt. Because this is a premium Drag Race video. We're giving the cast of Season 15 some amazing Pokemon teams. This is an ongoing series with many more seasons to cover, so make sure to subscribe for more Drag Race crossovers, as well as other Pokemon content coming your way. And before we start, I want to mention my new Discord server that you can join for free. Did I mention it was free? Using the link in the description or somewhere in the comments below. And without further ado, let's get started. Let's start with our first eliminated contestant, Irene Dubois, whom I gave a bug-type specialty. Irene's full drag name is Irene the Alien Dubois, so I figured that since bugs are pretty creepy and weird-looking, this type choice worked pretty well for her. Her first Pokemon is Rapska, based on her press look for the season premiere. During my first impressions of the cast, I thought of giving Irene a psychic-type specialty, since her drag name comes from Alison Dubois of the show Medium, portrayed by Patricia Arquette, who she idolizes. I ended up giving the psychic type to another queen later on, but I still wanted to reference this factoid. Her second Pokemon is Algium, based on her drag name. Algium is based on the concept of little green men, which is what most people think of when talking about aliens, and like I mentioned before, Irene has nicknamed herself as the Alien. The new terrestrialization mechanic introduced in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet gave me more flexibility to assign Pokemon that fit each queen's theme without having to stick to a specific type. In this case, Irene's Algium would terrestrialize into a bug type. Our next eliminated queen is Princess Poppy, spelled P-O-O-P. Why? Poppy has a rather ethereal drag aesthetic, but I think a normal type specialty works really well for her because she's a phony! She presents herself as a cutesy character or a fairy princess, as she says, which is in direct contrast with her crass sense of humor. Her first Pokemon is Grafaiai, based on her entrance look. She came into the workroom with a dress inspired by a wooden color palette, which is typically used for painting, and Grafaiai is known for painting trees with its poisonous saliva. On a side note, Smeargle doesn't work for a gym leader team because it can quite literally learn any move by using its signature move, Sketch. So I opted for Grafaiai instead. Maybe during a gym leader rematch after having beaten the champion? If someone adapts this series into a Pokemon ROM hack, I'd be happy to play that on my channel. Wink. And her second Pokemon is Jigglypuff, based on her promo look. I like to think that the puffy shoulders on this outfit look like Jigglypuff's pointy ears. Jigglypuff is also categorized as the balloon Pokemon, which is funny to me because this dress makes Poppy look like an inflatable. This Jigglypuff would have a normal Terra type, which would double the power of its normal type moves due to Stab, same type advantage bonus, instead of the regular 50% increase since normal is already one of its types. Before we move on to our third gym leader, I have to address the concern I had in my first impressions video. There are 16 queens total in this season, but we only need 13 contestants for a complete Pokemon League. Since we're taking a similar approach to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, let's make a Team Star-like storyline, starting with Sugar, the first half of the twin duo to leave the competition. Her time on Drag Race was unfortunately half-baked, but she definitely left a sweet impression. I gave Sugar a fairy-type specialty, since I always associate it with candy and sweets. Her first Pokemon is Fido, based on her cast reveal runway. This look reminds me of a cake because of the way the fabric drapes around her skirt, which made me think of Alcremie, since it's a pastry-inspired Pokemon. I decided against it though because I can absolutely see Sugar carrying a Fido in her purse, very reminiscent of Paris Hilton. Plus, Fido's color scheme matches really well. Her second Pokemon is Mimikyu, based on her beautiful Nightmare runway. This choice I think is pretty self-explanatory. The look is a creepy ragdoll come to life, and Mimikyu is disguised as one. Sugar also fell twice during her lip sync, a moment that I took as a nod to Mimikyu's signature ability, Disguise, which makes it able to withstand any one hit when its HP is full. Her final Pokemon is Umbreon, as a nod to her sister Spice. The members of Team Star didn't terrestrialize their Pokemon in the games, but I didn't think it was fair to do that here. So this Umbreon would have a Fairy Terra type. I opted for evolutions because of one video from Ollie Dreamer on TikTok, who recreates drag race scenes by replacing queens with the official Pokemon artwork. I like that idea because Sugar and Spice are twins, and Eevee has many different branching evolutions.
Well, this doesn't look like the toy store.
Sweetie, that was my line.
Whatever.
What in the Maria, Kate, and Ashley is going on?
Our third gym leader is a certified meme queen. She's the gem of the season, Amethyst. Her drag name comes from a very long story. You see, it's her birthstone. So I decided upon a rock-type specialty. Great story, great storyline, perfect. I'm telling you, these write themselves. Her first Pokemon is Nosepass, based on the anecdote she mentioned during her Meet the Queens. She said that the first thing people noticed about her is her nose, which RuPaul complimented during the third episode. Amethyst has a large nose, much like Nosepass, so it was a match made in the Hall of Origin, which I guess is Pokemon's version of heaven since Arceus is the god of all Pokemon. Her second Pokemon is Omanite, based on her self-given title of Meme Queen. Omanite is the subject of a meme template called Lord Helix, which originated from Twitch Plays Pokemon, a stream in which viewers could control the game using the chat. People would open the items menu in battle and try to select the Helix fossil a lot, which led to the meme. Since Amethyst has very good comedic timing, I thought this was a fitting choice. Her final Pokemon is Gothorita, based on her Who Is She runway. This would of course be her Terra Rock type Pokemon, as Gothorita is a Psychic type instead. Gothorita's Pokedex entry for Pokemon Violet talks about how it uses its psychic power to arrange pebbles in the form of constellations. The bows on her garment and light purple colors also made this a pretty obvious choice. After Amethyst comes her former lovebird and fellow Connecticut queen, the Robin Fierce. As an homage to fellow Drag Race alum Raven, Robin also wanted a bird for her drag name, which earned her a flying type specialty. Her first Pokemon is Fletchinder, based on her entrance look. Fletchinder draws inspiration from the Japanese Robin and is the closest Pokemon we have to the actual bird. The fierce part in Robin's name comes from what she wanted her drag to be no matter what, and Fletchinder's evolutionary line is an example of fierce Pokemon designs. It later evolves into Talonflame, which I would argue is very fierce. Her second Pokemon is Skarmory, based on her Metallica runway. This one's pretty self-explanatory. The runway category is metallic looks, which alludes to Skarmory's steel typing. Her final Pokemon is Rotom, based on her press look for the season premiere. This is the campiest choice of them all. The dress is inspired by her uniform when she was a Best Buy employee. Robin is the definition of this meme format. When you work at 12 and have a drag show at 9, I would specifically give her a fan Rotom with a flying Terra type to double the power of its flying type moves and make up for Rotom's levitate ability, which is useless on flying types because they already have a ground type immunity. Best Buy obviously sells electronic appliances. I can't think of a better Pokemon to give her than one that actually inhabits appliances. Next, we move on to the Filipina moon goddess herself, Aura Mayari. Given the tagline for her drag character, I decided upon a psychic type specialty. Her first Pokemon is Lunatone, based on her Metallica runway. When coming up with ideas for Aura's team, I searched online for Pokemon related to the moon, and a good portion of those Pokemon were psychic types. Lunatone was the most obvious example, as it is shaped like a crescent moon. I paired it with the Metallica runway, since this look has the most notable references to that crescent moon motif. Her second Pokemon is Indeedee, based on her Who Is She runway. An aura is a pervasive quality seen as emanating from, in this case, a person. Indeedee is categorized as the emotion Pokemon, which I think fits in Aura's team, since I see her as someone who is in touch with her emotions, an important trait that psychic-type trainers typically have. This look's purple hues and dark tones also coordinate really well with Indeedee's design, and I like to think that the purple hair resembles Indeedee's horns. Her final Pokemon is Ursaring, based on her tie-dye runway that was definitely to die for. This Ursaring would have a Psychic Terra type, to continue with the theme of terrestrialization. Ursaring is another Pokemon with an attachment to the moon, which is evident in its new evolution, Ursaluna, as it evolves using a peat block during a full moon. Additionally, Ursarine's brown coat matches this look's color scheme pretty well, and it's a way to highlight her main challenge win for that episode. Our 6th gym leader suffered a similar fate to Jasmine Kennedy in season 14. She's the lip-sync assassin eliminated on the Lollapalooza episode, the MVP of the season, Jax, whom I decided on an electric-type specialty. Her first Pokemon is Pom Pom style Oricorio, based on her entrance look. This style of Oricorio made perfect sense for Jax, who mentioned having a background as a competitive cheerleader. Since we already have a flying-type specialist, and Jax is an acrobatic performer, I figured a flying-type Pokemon that could learn the move Acrobatics would be sufficient. Her second Pokemon is Magnezone, based on her Metallica runway. Jax's namesake comes from the Mortal Kombat character of the same name, who has cybernetically enhanced arms. I felt that the best way to incorporate that was by giving her a Steel-type Pokemon. And her final Pokemon is Hawlucha, based on her Who Is She runway, and it would of course have an electric Terra type. Hawlucha has a similar reasoning to Oricorio. It's another flying type that can learn acrobatics. But, most importantly, it alludes to that video game reference we just talked about. Mortal Kombat is a fighting game, and Hawlucha's design is based on a wrestler, or a luchador. I paired it to this look because I like to think its red plumage matches the bright red colors, and the cape-like feathers resemble Jax's color-blocked coat. Next we have Spice, the second trainer we'd be facing in our Team Star-like storyline. I decided to give her a dark-type specialty because of her goth drag style. While it would be fun to challenge the twins to a double battle, they did compete individually, so I thought it would be best to give them individual teams. Her first Pokemon is Houndoom, based on her promo look. Spice, as I mentioned before, has a very goth drag aesthetic. The spikes around this look, the choker necklace, and the punk hair are all characteristics that make Houndoom a perfect member for her team. Houndoom is also a fire type, which references spicy foods. Her second Pokemon is Thievul, which I paired with her interview look for Entertainment Weekly. Thievul is categorized as the Foxx Pokemon, so this was a nod to her new drag mother, Malaysia Babydoll Foxx, who is also on this cast. Spice and Sugar were adopted into a drag family with Mistress Isabelle Brooks, but Malaysia is now also technically Spice's drag mom, and Mistress is Sugar's. Thievul was also a mischievous choice, if you will, since Nicket's Pokédex entry, Thievul's pre-evolution, talks about how it swipes the floor to cover its tracks after stealing food from other Pokemon, hence the picnic-inspired interview look. Now, remember how I mentioned earlier that Sugar fell twice during the twin sync? What if Spice made Thievul intentionally trip Sugar by swiping its tail to win the lip sync and take over as the dominant twin? Kind of convoluted, but we can make this work for the drama. Lastly, her final Pokemon is Sylveon, as a nod to her sister Sugar. Following the same logic as with Sugar's team, this Sylveon would have a dark Terra type. This choice ties into the idea that Eevee's multiple branching evolutions, especially when you consider that the twins for the most part came into the competition with coordinated outfits. Plus, how fitting is it that Umbreon and Sylveon are the two most popular evolutions? When I tell you that this series writes itself, I mean it. Coincidentally, our next eliminated queen is Malaysia, Babydoll, 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 Foxx. As I mentioned before, Malaysia is Spice's drag mother, whom we have been giving a Team Star-like storyline. So, since Malaysia is part of this drag family with the twins, let's add her to this narrative. Malaysia is from Miami, Florida, famously described as the Sunshine State, where it's practically summer all the time. So I thought it would be good to give her a fire-type specialty. Her first Pokemon is Brixen, based on her entrance look. Her drag name was a defining reason for this choice, because I thought that Brixen matched the pointy ears on Malaysia's wig. The dress also has a fitting color scheme. I chose Brixen over Delphox to show that Malaysia is not meant to be the final member of this Team Star-like storyline, so we'll save the Team Star boss for later. Her second Pokemon is Skeledirge, based on her beautiful Nightmare runway. Skeledirge draws inspiration from the multiple crocodile-related ghost stories present in Spanish folklore, which definitely fits the theme for this runway category. Plus, the purple details on its snout allude to this look's color scheme. Florida's richness in Hispanic culture confirmed this choice for me, since this Pokemon comes from the Spain-inspired region of Aldea. And let's not forget that Florida is very well known for its alligators and crocodiles in Central and South Florida. Her final Pokemon is Alolan Ninetales, based on her Who Is She runway. I just had to continue with the theme of Fox-related Pokemon. She even has fox tails around her arm, just like in her entrance look, which we talked about earlier. I went for Ninetales' Alolan form for the sake of variety. Since it would have a Fire Terra type, it's almost like she has the Cantonian original. Now, let's take a pause from this rival team and return to form with our 7th gym leader, Marcia. Watching her on the show really confirmed her grass-type specialty to me, because her runway package had simplicity and natural beauty to it, and her drag persona was portrayed in a rather subdued way. Grass has the most weaknesses, 5, compared to any other type, besides rock, which is also 5, which reminded me of how delicate yet beautiful nature can be. Her first Pokemon is Whimsicott, based on her cast reveal look. I mostly focused on the white daisy in the front of her dress and big flower backpack. From the moment I first saw her during the cast reveal, I could tell she had a whimsical and soft-spoken nature, which I mentioned in my first impressions video. Her second Pokemon is Salina, based on her Drag Race Fashion Week runway. This look is when I think Marcia had a turning point during her makeup improvement journey. This was the first time in the season where I personally thought her makeup looked more draggy, more fierce. Her winged eyeliner reminds me of Salina's eyelashes. The pattern on the dress also alludes to Salina's typing, and the resort wear aesthetic references the fact that Salina originates from the Alola region. Her final Pokemon is Gardevoir, based on her talent show performance. Marcia performed a quirky and very entertaining ballet number, pretending to have a crush on one of the judges. Gardevoir and its evolutionary line seems to be inspired by ballet, which is precisely the kind of formal dance training Marcia has at her disposal. Gardevoir's fine physical features refer to traditional Japanese dolls, which are characterized with having proper and elegant clothing. This Gardevoir would obviously have a grass Terra type, and it fits perfectly with Marcia, as she always strives for poise and elegance with her looks. Our final gym leader is the president of the itty bitty Censored for Demonetization Committee, Miss Salina. She was a lot of fun to watch and had plenty of shady commentary. The way Salina expresses herself is very crass, so I gave her a poison type specialty, as her boisterous personality was almost oozing off the screen. Her first Pokemon is Toxtricity, based on her promo look. Salina would specifically have an amped form Toxtricity, because she can be very intense and expressive. This was one of the original choices from my first impressions video, and one that I firmly stand by. Her promo look also has some punk influences and a color scheme that I think work really well with this Pokemon. Her second Pokemon is Nidoqueen, based on her Start Your Engines runway. I mainly focused on the color scheme for this look, which matches Nidoqueen pretty well. Nidoqueen is a female-only species, which is apparent from a design standpoint because of the 2 cream-colored plates on its chest, and I like to think it alludes to Salina's full drag name. Nidoqueen also tend to be very protective as a species, which I think would resonate with Salina, as she was often the comforting friend during the other queens' vulnerable moments in the show. Her final Pokemon is Miltank, paired with her Everybody Say Glove runway. Miltank would, of course, have a Poison Terra type, and I base this choice on Salina's drag name. I'm wary of saying her full drag name to avoid demonetization. My future mother-in-law, Janie, whom you might have met in some of my previous videos, used to play Pokémon Go. Whenever I think of Miltank, I remember Janie looking at Miltank's udder and saying, "That's almost obscene." She's a very sweet southern lady and sometimes watches my videos, so I try to keep things as reserved as possible. With all of our gym leaders accounted for, let's move on to the Elite Four. After 8 gym battles, we reach the Pokémon League, the toughest challenge for anyone who aspires the coveted title of Pokémon League Champion. But first, they must defeat the members of the Elite Four, in this case, the 4 runners-up from this season. Before we start though, please appreciate my level of commitment. A shaving montage to maintain continuity? I don't have a bachelor's degree for nothing. Now, let's let loose with our first Elite Four member, Lucy LaDuca. Here's an actual image I found of Lucy after being eliminated from the competition. All jokes aside, Lucy's love of monsters and the horror genre in general earned her a ghost-type specialty. Her first Pokemon is Frozlass, based on her beautiful Nightmare runway. This look is a nod to Friday the 13th, and is the first time on the show that she acknowledges her love of the horror genre. Frozlaz's evolutionary counterpart is Glalie, whose name may be a combination of Glacier and Goalie, which ties into the Jazing Voorhees inspiration. However, Glalie isn't a ghost type, and I have another Pokemon planned for her ghost Terra type. Her second Pokemon is Aegislash, based on her Metallica runway. If you've seen my All-Star 6 video, this runway has a similar inspiration to Jan's promo look for that season. Loosey specifically mentions her love of slasher films during Meet the Queens, so I thought Aegislash was a goofy yet fitting choice. Her third Pokemon is Cofagrigus, based on her Rip Her to Shreds runway. Nosferatu was Loosey's inspiration for this look. I had some trouble at first coming up with an idea for Loosey's third Pokemon, but then my boyfriend suggested Cofagrigus. I'm very familiar with the story of Dracula from Bram Stoker, as I had to read it in high school. Both characters are vampires and behave in similar ways, so my immediate reaction was, Nosferatu sleeps in a coffin! That's perfect! Her final Pokemon is Conkeldurr, based on her reunion look. She took the typical construction worker image, white shirt, denim pants, yellow heart hat, and reimagined it as a campy drag look. It would have a ghost Terra type to continue the theme of terrestrialization. She introduced herself in the first episode as a construction worker by day and the drag queen at night, so Conkeldurr is a very straightforward choice. Our next Elite Four member is the wonderfully confident Luxx Noir London. Luxx came off as this very polarizing character, always exuding this air of grandeur, which is why I think she would excel as a dragon-type specialist. Dragon types are always revered as strong, just like how Luxx was a strong competitor, performing really well in the competition by showcasing her various talents. Her first Pokemon is Cyclizar, based on her Start Your Engines runway. This runway category is inspired by RuPaul's famous tracksuit outfit from the opening title sequence from the show. Luxx is a reference machine when it comes to pop culture. I felt that Cyclizar is a good choice for her as a queen who consistently references the show within the show itself. Her second Pokemon is Flapple, based on her Tie-Dye to Die For runway. Flapple evolves from Applin by using a tart apple, which to me is fitting for Luxx. Her overconfident attitude was off-putting at times to many fans of the show, kind of like how a tart apple has a more sour flavor. Despite the negative reception, she delivered on her promise of being a talented queen. I like this pairing because of the bright colors and the ruffles on the side, which quickly make me think of Flapple. Her third Pokemon is Baxcalibur, based on her crystallized Eleganza runway. This was definitely a must-include look for me, as it was probably my favorite look from that entire challenge. The way the crystals were placed immediately screamed Ice-type to me. It made me think of Baxcalibur because the wings in the back reminded me of the big scale on its back. Her final Pokemon is Dhelmise, based on her beautiful Nightmare runway. This look tells the story of a woman who drowned at the bottom of the ocean. Dhelmise is shaped like an anchor, which is precisely the purpose of the cinder block tied around her ankle. Dhelmise's ability Steelworker boosts the power of its Steel-type moves by 50%, which is perfect for dealing with the Ice and Fairy weaknesses of its Dragon Terra type. This is my absolute favorite look that Luxx brought into the competition, and the way Dhelmise's ghost typing references her double win with Loosey is just icing on the cake. Up next, we have the pot stirrer herself, Mistress Isabelle Brooks. Mistress is a strong, versatile competitor, and I think she'd do well as a Steel-type specialist. Remember how we put a pin on the Team Starlight storyline? Well, here we are at the final stretch. Mistress adopted the twins into her drag family with Malaysia as a co-parent, so I think it would be cool if she revealed herself to be the leader of this rebellious team. Her first Pokemon is Klefki, based on her Start Your Engines runway. Similarly to Jan's look for All-Star 6, it was a campy choice. You need keys to start a car. Klefki's fairy typing is a nod to Mistress adopting Sugar as her drag daughter. I could have easily chosen Revavroom for this runway, but I wanted to keep that connection to the twins. Her second Pokemon is Steelix, based on her Tie-Dye to Die For runway. I mostly focused on the crystals attached to her shoulder, which made me think of Steelix's Mega Evolution, and the crystals that are protruding from and floating around its body. Steelix is also based on a snake, which I think would be funny for someone like Mistress, who often engages in the drama throughout the season. Her third Pokemon is Copper Raja, based on her Metallica runway. Mistress wrote on Twitter about how many people commented how she looked like Eureka in her promo look. Before she was on Drag Race, she would let people confuse her for Eureka so she could charge people money because she is what? A smart queen. If people are going to confuse you for another Drag Race queen, you better cough up some money for that meet and greet. I'm sorry, can you move out of the way? Sweetie, if you don't have a wristband, you can't be here for the meet and greet. She referenced it in episode 3 when she was confused for Eureka by Sugar's character in the acting challenge, which is the same episode where she wore this runway. Her final Pokemon is Hitmonchan, based on her talent show performance. Hitmonchan would obviously have a Steel Terra type. Mistress describes herself as the heavyweight champ of drag. The look she wore for this performance has a robe that I typically associate with boxers, so I chose Hitmonchan as a reference to the sport. Finally, she's got stunts, dips and splits, and she'll teach you how to walk that frickin' duck. If it wasn't apparent to you during the show, Anetra has a background in Taekwondo, which makes her the perfect fighting type specialist. Her first Pokemon is Quaquaval, based on her talent show performance. This first challenge was Anetra at her best. The talent show number was so influential that it became a recurring meme online and throughout the show. Quaquaval is the perfect choice for Anetra, a water and fighting type whose evolutionary line is based on a duck, has queer-coded animations, and fantastic dance moves. Her second Pokemon is Flamigo, based on her Puffer Please runway. Anetra is from Las Vegas, which is famously known for its casinos, live entertainment, and neon flamingo signs. I almost overlooked this pairing until I remembered her confessional during this runway, in which she mentioned how she was dressed as a Las Vegas state bird. Las Vegas state bird? That's verbatim what Anetra said, but Las Vegas is a city in the state of Nevada. Anyway, she wasn't talking about the mountain bluebird. Her third Pokemon is Pawmot, based on her Everybody Say Glove runway. This is another campy, straightforward choice on my part. The lasers on Anetra's gloves remind me of the lights on Pawmot's palms. Her final Pokemon is Togedemaru, based on her entrance look. Togedemaru is based on a hedgehog, which has spiky fur along its back. Anetra has metal spikes on her head that reference its steel typing, but this Togedemaru would have a fighting Terra type. I also thought of its ability Iron Barbs, which damages opponents that hit Togedemaru with a move that makes contact. Anetra would later use this headpiece for her solo verse on the Blame It on the Edit music video, which made me think that she definitely used this little guy on her team. Great job! We've defeated the Elite Four, but there's still one more trainer to face, the Pokemon Champion. At last, we've reached our final challenge. One more trainer stands in our way of receiving the coveted title of Pokémon League Champion. Sasha Colby is considered a legend in the drag world. She has everything in her favor: the best track record of any US winner of Drag Race, amazing fan support, and is the best representative to speak against our current political climate. With such an incredible reputation, her champion team needed to be just as remarkable. She would start off this battle with her first Pokemon, Glimmora, based on the look for her solo verse on the Blame It on the Edit music video. This challenge had a space theme, which is apparent in her alien superstar look. It reminded me of Glimmora because of the tendrils and small crystal flowers around her body, similar to how you can find Glimmora in Area Zero. Glimmora borrows inspiration from Deadly Nightshade and Calcanthite, which is fitting with the purple hues and blue highlights on the outfit. I also wanted to make a connection to her drag daughter Carrie Colby, whom I gave a poison type specialty in my season 14 video, since Glimmora is a rock and poison type. Her second Pokemon is Comfey, based on her makeover look. I felt it was important to highlight her Hawaiian heritage, so I decided on Pokemon that originate from the Alola region, which is based on Hawaii. Comfey is based on a lei, a garland with flowers typically given to people as a symbol of friendship, love, respect. The makeover episode was the perfect opportunity for this pairing, because that's precisely what the challenge is about. The flower details on their hair particularly helped me finalize this choice. Her third Pokemon is Cursula, based on her crystallized Eleganza runway. The gold wires extending from Sasha's arms reminded me of Cursula's branches.
I am giving you golden coral goddess.
Hawaii has a big surfing population and is surrounded by many coral reefs in the Pacific Ocean, so I perceive native Hawaiians to be environmentally conscious. It evolves from Cursula's Galarian form, which to me provides commentary about how pollution negatively impacts coral reefs, given Galar's heavy industrial influences. And this evolutionary line is based on dead coral after all. Her fourth Pokemon is Corviknight, based on her Metallica runway. This is a very straightforward choice, as the runway category showcased metallic outfits. Sasha wore this elegant outfit with metallic feather-like pieces. I quickly thought of Corviknight because of its steel and flying typing. What really sold me on this choice were the feathers on her shoes that made this a complete look. Her fifth Pokemon is Kamao, based on her entrance look. As a champion, I always try to incorporate a pseudo-legendary on the team. Kama-O was a very intentional choice. It was originally introduced in Alola and borrows inspiration from shape-shifting dragons from Hawaiian mythology. I paired it with her entrance look because of its tribal-esque influences. I also gave Kylie Sonic Love a Kama-O for her champion team in my All-Star 6 video, which is a complete coincidence because Sasha and Kylie happen to be roommates in real life. Her final Pokemon is Bruxish, based on her tie-dye to die for runway. She would close out the battle with this final ace Pokemon, which would have a water Terra type. This look immediately reminded me of Bruxish because of the colorful swirls. Bruxish is based on the Humu Humu Nuku Nuku Apuaha, commonly known as the reef triggerfish, but you may call it the Humu Humu for short. I hope I pronounced that correctly. The Humu Humu is the national fish of Hawaii, which made Bruxish the perfect partner Pokemon for Sasha, especially when you appreciate its campy design. Congratulations, Sasha Colby, for your incredible run this season. She came in with high expectations and she exceeded them beyond our wildest imaginations. Chime in on Discord to tell me your opinions on these Pokemon teams, the link is below, and remember to subscribe for more Pokemon videos coming your way. Thank you so much for watching, leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and as always, I appreciate you being here. Bye!